If you take any class about congressional politics or US elections or American voting behavior or any basic course on American politics, one topic every professor will discuss is polarization. You won't miss it. This is one of those phenomena that all kinds of data clearly indicate and all political scientists clearly agree on. There aren't many patterns this obvious in political science because political variables are messy and difficult to measure, and also there are tons of confounding variables that can distort your conclusions. Unlike biologists or physicists, the researchers of politics can't just put societies or political organizations in a lab and control their environment. That'd be kidnapping. So finding a consistent empirical pattern that every researcher agrees on is very hard. But party polarization in the US Congress is one of those things that researchers all agree is a fact because it's way too freaking obvious. They don't always agree on why it happened. That'd be a huge debate for another day. But they all agree it happened. No doubt about that. The data didn't leave any room for doubt. In the 70s, the two parties may have been arguably a little similar to each other, but their differences continue to grow and have reached a stunning level. That's why those uni-party conspiracy guys always make me laugh cry like this emoji. I'm not just talking about differences in one measurement, but in every measurement. Congressional voting, bill sponsorship, ideological profiles, speech patterns, racial composition, gender composition. Every measure you can think of shows that the two political parties have become more and more different. I showed you last time that if you look at the progressive scores of senators based on their voting records, John Fetterman, the most conservative Democrat, is still 5 times as progressive as Susan Collins, the least conservative Republican. If you look at the median senators of the two parties, oh my God, the median Democrat is like 93. The median Republican is about 0.3. Basically, the median senators in the two parties almost never vote the same way. Virtually no agreement in any area. If you look at the party unity, which measures how often the lawmakers in a party vote with their own side against the other side, in the 70s, it was about 60%. Now, both parties are above 90%. The Democrats under Joe Biden even reached 98% at some point. Higher unity of both parties means that they both have a much more distinct identity than before. Let me show you another variable, gender. This is the number of women in Congress. The blue bars are Democrats and the red bars are Republicans. How can you look at this and be like, the same thing? The state legislatures have the same pattern. One party is largely gender neutral, and the other party is basically a political manosphere. So in what world do you think they will make the same choices, whether it's foreign policy or domestic policy? No way. Now, if we introduce race, this shows the number of women of color in Congress. 46 to 1. I don't know what to tell you. Just see for yourself. Some people say, hey, look, maybe the two parties are different in some aspects, but they are still the same in this specific area. Well, you can say that about any two entities in the universe. Humans and the crabs share 70% of the genes. Doesn't mean you can call them the same. Hanging out with humans is a very different experience from hanging out with crabs. I can tell you that. I won't hire them for the same jobs. In fact, even two people who share 100% of genes make vastly different life choices. Scientists love to study identical twins because the genetic variables are controlled, and they are definitely not the same. Of course, I'm not saying you have to feel the difference between the two parties personally. Maybe there's some personal circumstance that makes election outcomes irrelevant to you specifically. Maybe you're in such a bad spot that normal policy changes won't help you. That's possible. Or maybe you're too privileged that nothing can hurt you. That's also possible. I'm not denying those possibilities. So you can say the two parties are the same to you. Fine. But you can't say they're the same for everyone. That would be statistically and logically ridiculous. You don't know everyone. How can you speak for them? For example, I'm not into fashion or sports. So when I need shoes, I just randomly grab something cheap from Costco. But imagine how annoying I would be if I walked into a shoe store and shouted at people, "It doesn't matter. Stop wasting your time." That's what those elections don't matter folks sound like. They want to persuade everyone else to not do something just because they don't want to do it. Why? It's actually suspicious if you ask me. What shoes other people wear won't impact me, so I will not try to influence their decisions. So if election results won't impact you, why are you out here trying to influence other people's decisions? That's just very suspicious to say the least. If you're one of those accelerationists and you want the Republicans to win so that the revolution will come sooner, well, just spell it out. Say it proudly. I want Trump to finish the coup so there may be a revolution. It does sound pretty silly, but at least if you say it out loud, I respect you as an honest person. You can't play it both ways. You can't keep trying to drag people toward one direction and then pretend nonchalant the next second. That's manipulative as hell. Not nice.